Virginia Governor Glen Younkin shocked the political world when he won the governorship in 2021, mainly running on issues against critical race theory being taught in schools and basically liberal takeover of schools in a more general way. And he went directly to the suburbs and told them, we don't want politicians influencing classrooms and influencing what our teachers are able to teach to kids. And it worked. And Glen Younkin won the governorship in a shocking defeat for the Democrats. And if you look at the polls now with Ron DeSantis and basically how he's floundering, and he's not as solid of a candidate as people were maybe hoping on the right, anti-Trump people were hoping 6 months ago, a year ago, even just 4 months ago. DeSantis has been having a little bit of a rough time, and maybe he's able to turn it around. But in the meantime, a guy like Glen Younkin is somebody that the Democrats should be scared of, because he is DeSantis and he is Trump's policies, all without the normie repellent. Okay, just steal a phrase from Kyle Kaczynski. The Republicans have lost their normie touch, and a lot of their electoral problems they've had in 2020, in 2022, even dating back to 2018, honestly, it boils down to their policies are not popular with a vast majority of America. And when you go to middle-class suburban areas in America where white women are often highly concentrated, okay, in suburbs, white women have been the ticket to Republican success electorally in many, many different elections, okay? In 2016, for instance, white women actually broke for Trump by 2 points, believe it or not, over Hillary, a woman herself. Shocking. And it was one of the many factors that played into Trump's winning of the 2016 election. So fast forward to 2022 election, and you have the Republicans not doing as well as many people predicted that they were going to do, with the economy being not the best, gas prices being high, inflation highest since the 80s. It was seen as an opportunity for Republicans to strike back against the Biden and the left in America. But they kind of missed their chance. They ended up winning the House by a 5-seat majority. But given the political climate, it was very disappointing, and the Republicans should have gained really a 25, 30, 35 seat majority. Okay. But so back to Glen Younkin here. Okay. Glen Younkin is a guy who he appeals to the normies. Okay. And he appeals to people who aren't who you wouldn't think of immediately as being part of the right-wing coalition that exists. Okay. He has this sort of ability to kind of deceive people into thinking he's just another run-of-the-mill candidate. And this hard right extremism that we identify figures like DeSantis and Trump owning. They own the far right extremism. Okay. We don't attribute it to people like Glen Younkin, but you look at his policies, you look at what he believes, and he's no less fascistic than others in the far right. Okay. And his normie touch is something that the Democrats, and particularly Joe Biden, need to worry about if he was to run. Because in a debate, for instance, I'd pick Younkin over Biden to win the debate. Whereas DeSantis and Trump, it's going to devolve into this mudslinging contest of name calling and meanness and just this spectacle of awfulness that it wouldn't with a figure like Glen Younkin. Okay. And the GOP would be able to focus on issues like, we don't want liberals and Democrats teaching our kids and dictating how our schools are made up. Okay, we don't want that. We want parents to be in control of what's being taught to their kids, and parents should have a say in what's being taught to their kids in school. And DeSantis has taken this angle, right? Like with his anti-woke stance and his banning of books and stuff, and his just general disdain for any sort of LGBT topics being taught in school. Okay, but it's wrapped in this package of being anti-woke and anti-democratic establishment generally. All right. And it turns off a lot of voters, in my opinion, that are more focused on economic issues and are more focused on traditional Republican issues. Okay. In a state like, it might work in a state like Florida, it might rile up DeSantis's base to the point that he's able to continue to have continued political success in Florida. But you go to a wider audience and you go to suburbs of Arizona and of Virginia and of, other states that are more politically diverse and more purple states. And DeSantis's message doesn't necessarily stick the same way it does in Florida. Whereas a guy like Glen Younkin, to me, he's much more able to sort of convincingly get out the message that he's the guy to beat the Democrats, and he's going to be able to accomplish his message, and he's going to be able to implement it by talking about things in a less harsh ways, by sort of having other issues that the major candidates aren't talking about, and by being overall more appealing and more palpable to a larger amount of people than DeSantis or Trump could ever hope to be. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look into this article real quick here. Glen Younkin considers entering 2024 race 1 month after indicating he was unlikely to run. So Glen Younkin is giving fresh consideration to the possibility of running for president. Mr. Younkin, a conservative who was elected in 2021, said last month that he was focused on his duties in Virginia rather than a presidential campaign. But the release of a campaign-style video last week with the line, "It's time to usher in a new era of American values," reignited speculation that Mr. Younkin may ultimately launch a bid. If he does, Axios reports, it will be in part because of the challenges his fellow governor Ron DeSantis is experiencing as he looks to get his campaign off the ground. The conventional wisdom for months was that Mr. DeSantis was the most formidable challenger to Donald Trump, even at times besting him in polls of early voting states. We kind of already talked about this. It says, for now, Mr. Younkin's political team is rejecting ideas that he is moving closer to a presidential bid. Governor Younkin is focused on Virginia. But keep in mind, this is the same things that DeSantis was saying, as, speculation was running rampant about his presidential run. People is team was saying, oh, well, we're focused on Florida. We're focused on Florida. They're always focused on where they're elected until they're not, until their ambitions grow wider and these politicians see an opportunity to grow their influence and power. Anyone who anonymously says otherwise probably isn't as close to the governor as they want people to think. Mr. Youngkin's timeline may be different than those of other candidates. Virginia has a state legislative elections coming up in November, with Democratic control of this state Senate currently stalling parts of Mr. Youngkin's agenda. The other consideration is that Virginia governors are only permitted to serve one term, meaning that 2024 will be Mr. Youngkin's last year in office. So that could factor in here. Does Youngkin want to does Youngkin want to tarnish his legacy that he's built for himself in Virginia by running a failed presidential campaign and being the guy that was governor of Virginia but wanted more and got squashed by Donald Trump? You know, does Youngkin want to go down in history as just being somebody else that got squashed by Donald Trump? Or does he decide that his legacy is in continuing his governorship in Virginia and serving out his full term and getting as much accomplished legislatively as he possibly can in Virginia with the time that he has? Remains to be seen. I think that if he wasn't thinking about it at all, if he was totally uninterested, then why release this ad that seems very presidential campaigny? I'm gonna try to see if I can't pull this up here real quick. Excuse my unpreparedness and excuse my using of Fox News here, but it was the first link that popped up. Oh, I gotta get rid of my ad block here too. Here, 1 second, guys, 1 second. I want to go ahead and play this ad here, and we're gonna go ahead and end the video with this. Youngkin ad. All right, here we go.
Is it possible to protect my business from cyber threats?
With the help of advanced
After an advertisement. Sorry about this, guys.
It's happening.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months. Call or go online today.
So this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about here.
I'm not going to let parents come into schools. I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach.
I've seen some of the parents that live in Virginia. You should not have be dictating what your daughter and son's curriculums look like.
Virginia parents have no business writing curriculum.
It's just all a part of this parental crap that they're selling.
Terry McAuliffe and Democrats' war on parents continues. Parents still matter.
Parents still matter. So that wasn't his ad that they were referencing in this Yahoo News piece, but I think it kind of gives you some insight into, if he was to run, what his talking points would be and how he sort of relates to these issues to a larger group of normie voters that are entrenched in these hard right culture wars that are being fought on a daily basis by people like DeSantis. It kind of gives you an idea of what it would look like and what his talking points are. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video there. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope I can catch you in the next one. All right. Peace.